Okay.
Is he still here? Yeah. But he's. I've never
All righty. Good evening, everybody. It is now 6:03 today, the first day of August of 2023. I hereby call this meeting to order. All righty. If we can get roll call, please, so we can determine we got ourselves a quorum.
Chairman Justin Salazar Torres,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Peggy Sue Martinez,
She is on her way, is my understanding.
Counselor Manuel Martinez, Counselor Aaron Salazar.
Present.
All right, it looks like we've got ourselves a quorum. Counselors, before you, we've got our agenda. If you're good with it, if I can get a motion in a second, please.
Motion to approve?
All right, looks like we got a motion, a second from Counselor Manny Martinez, second from Aaron Salazar. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, we're good to go. All righty, next item up on our agenda is public comments, and I know we've got a few folks signed up. So Ms. BJ, the floor is yours, ma'am.
Lydia Lopez.
Good evening, Mrs. Lopez.
I've never been here before and I've lived here all my life. Anyway, my name is Lydia B. Lopez. My husband's name is Ross Lopez. We live at 1504 North McCurdy Road. We've lived there almost 74 years. We've been married in September. We'll celebrate our anniversary.
Wow.
And McCurdy has changed. It's now a racetrack. We had 4 or 5 weeks ago, we had 3 kids that ran. I don't know how fast they were, but they hit our catalpa tree and by the grace of God, they didn't hit our septic lift. And so these kids, one of them got hurt really, really bad. They had to tear the door off to get her out. She has a crushed leg. So they flew her to Albuquerque. But the thing of it is, there's no respect for anybody. We were turning into our house and somebody went all around and there was another car there and they just turned around. And by the grace of God, they didn't have another accident. There's so many people. We have so much traffic and that's fine. But the respect for the road and for the people there, it's gone, And then they throw signs at you, you tell them, please, nothing works, So we'd like some signs or some, something that will slow down the traffic, and so people don't have to live like today is the end of the world, you know? Because it really, really hit us. Those girls could have been impaled by the bars on top of the fence. Those went through the car, and there was 3 kids there. And it just made me sick, you know. If it had I have 7 children and 12 grandchildren, and they love to come to my house. They all, you know, we have cows, we have sheep, we have dogs, we have turkeys, we have chickens, you name it, we've got it. It's a lot of work. My son Greg looks at it, takes care of everything. And Greg is our youngest son, and he's electrical contractor. Anyway, we just want something to be done. Something to make people aware that life is very fragile, you know. If one of my kids did that, you know, they call me the law department anyway, because I have Peggy C knows me. Is that you, Peggy? I was a school teacher for 30 years.
And a very
Anyway.
good school teacher.
But the thing of it is, I care about kids, you know. If it doesn't matter whose child it is, but it really, really heartbreaking, you know, to see a child in that condition. There was one laid out here, another one here, and that's young girl, you know. By the grace of God, I didn't see it happen, because I'm 94 years old. I can see what's going on. And so I'm doing the best I can. And I figured if I come and I tell you how I feel, that maybe you people will set up boundaries or limits or something for them, you know, or so they can be aware. You know, there's gas meters, there are telephone meters, you know, it's not very wide. And the stripes have kind of faded, you know, because the water from the top part of comes and washes everything and makes a mess, you know. And that can't be. We tried, you know, because we have to drive through the puddles too, you know. So anyway, if just a little something just to make the kids, Manny, I've known you since you're a little baby. And so I feel it, you know. I feel I had to come today. And by the grace of God, I thank you kindly for listening to me and knowing that we care what happens to all these kids, not because I want to be a policeman or you know, do whatever, you know. They resent authority to begin with, you know, at this stage. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Lopez, for coming in, and we do appreciate your comments during our committee member comments and matters from the chair, and also our department reports. I'm sure that everybody's been brainstorming up some ideas for that issue.
Could we get her physical address?
We have it right here. It's 1504 North McCurdy Road.
No, for.
And for the record, let it show that Mayor Pro Tem did join us. Thank you. All righty. Do we have anybody else?
Yes. Catherine Lopez Brown.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My concern is, even I drive through there, I own land on that property too. But when we're at the driveway, we witnessed people pulling into Los Arboles to get out of the way of the person coming behind them and tailgating. So they're just trying to get out of the way. But the car behind goes around on the other lane, and here comes another car, which almost caused a collision right there at our driveway, and we were there. So it would have impacted us too if they would have hit each other. So it's dangerous. My mom and dad still drive. So you know, I'm scared for them, because I don't know if they're going to be in an accident and call me one day. Because someone's speeding by and they pull, and it's kind of, the road is, there's weeds on the road, and it kind of blocks the view of seeing the traffic on this side. So there's, I was hoping, I was calling around because I was trying to figure out whose road was this. And I guess it belongs to the city, But I called the county and they said they'll put a flashing light on that road if you need to, but they won't maintain it. The city would have to maintain it. I don't know what that means, but they were willing to do that for us. And speed bumps, I just don't know about speed bumps. They always make the speed bumps too high for cars. And yeah, they'll crawl, maybe put some speed bumps, but there's lower speed bumps than all the ones in our city. And I think we don't need all the speed bumps, but that would help. Speed bumps would help because they're on the individual streets and they seem to slow me down. So but not as many as in Valley Estates. There's like 5 or 6 there. It's like, that's hard. But yes, I didn't witness the crash, but I do notice a lot of people passing, and it's a no passing zone. And I didn't even think that it had a double yellow line. I had to go out there and see for myself. There is a double yellow line, but nobody watches it or uses it. And I'm sure that's the same all over Espanola and all over everywhere. They want to pass, they pass, which is very dangerous. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for listening to our concern. I hope we can have some other ideas that we could change the traffic.
Por
Thank you.
supuesto que sí. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And you're talking about Valley Estates and speed bumps. I got a call just the other day for one more. They want one more, but.
All our neighbors.
All righty. Do we have anybody else signed up for public comment? All righty. Thank you. And also just to honor the honorable mayor is with us in the house today. I'm not sure if you'd like to speak or say anything, sir, but
Yeah, I
I
do.
recognize you.
I do. I talked to the attorney. I'll be attending every committee meeting from here on out. I'm not a voting member, but I am here just as a participant and to find out what's going on and to assure that each of the committees are meeting monthly. And so I'll be doing that going forward.
All righty. So next up on our agenda, we have committee member comments. And as always, ladies first, Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Chairman. Salazar Torres, I appreciate the opportunity to just talk to the staff mostly. It's been a while since we've had a Public Works. I know you guys are very busy out there and there's always a lot of different things going on within the community that require your attention. If not today, yesterday. Most of the time, you guys are usually dealing with fires and trying to turn things out and make sure that the services that we provide through the enterprise side of things is operative and working in the best interest of the public. So for sure, we appreciate all the hard work that you guys are doing. I want to mention something about the lighting that we had talked about with MS Co-op and that 1% of the franchise fees going to lighting. And I would like an update on what is going on with that. The darkest area in near our side or in our side, there's 2 areas. Prince would be primary and then secondary would be behind the bond house. I don't know if any of you have been at that direction in the evening. It is pitch dark in that area and a lot of people are utilizing the parking behind the bond house to do illicit things after dark. So it's something that I definitely want to see rectified and fixed as far as lighting goes. Another area is the old Malpatch Road area that it slips my memory. What's it? Corlett Drive. Yeah, that's another area that I feel is extremely dark that we need to work on that. Concerning what is going on with the parks, thank you to your department, Elijah, for what you guys are doing. I see the difference in the grass and it being watered more regularly. It seems like it's getting a little bit greener out there. It's being mowed more regularly. I really would like to get to a point where we provide better play structures in this park at the top at Vietnam Memorial. I think what we have there is the bare minimum of a play structure that would even be considered a play structure. I think we need to invest some money, and I'm hopeful that the council will agree that that's something that needs to get done besides the dugouts and stuff with baseball. But I just appreciate everything you guys are doing. John Francisco, what you guys do with the trash is amazing. Bryce and Mr. Talcott, thank you for everything that you guys are doing for the city. And also to Jeff Sargent. Thank you, Jeff, for what you do. Appreciate you.
All righty, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Counselor Aron Salazar.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you all. First of all, thank you everyone present, for all the hard work, dedication, everything you guys do on a daily basis. Really appreciate it. Bringing up the lighting at the plaza. Yep, yes, it's dark, really dark there at the Bond House. And I want to thank, I don't know their names. There are a set of, there's a couple that walks every morning. Well, yeah, they're walking, but there's the other neighbors that are walking. They're picking up all the trash every morning, and they live right west of the Blue Heron. And thankfully, I don't know their name. I will get their name, but they walk every morning picking up trash. Well, maybe, yeah, that sounds. Yeah, so thanks to them, they do walk around picking up all the trash. Is there an update on the flagpole there at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial? Because one of the poles was missing a pulley. Yeah, and also the weeds there at the veteran. Is that whose responsibility? Is that the cities or is that the veterans themselves? Yeah, because one of the sergeants there kind of chewed me out one day, and he caught me again at a distribution and for bringing up the weeds.
Hey, just a quick question, and I guess for you, are you talking about the Desert Storm?
Yes.
Okay, if you look at that one,
No, the
Veterans Wall or the Veterans Wall, okay, that one we're still addressing. We haven't gotten to that one yet. So I know Desert Storm was one I was asked to address there, and that one's been addressed.
Oh.
And then the flag that was missing from that one has been put up, so we just haven't been able to get into the one at the wall yet. It's a little bit more difficult to get to that pole, but we will get to it.
Yeah, because
Yes, sir.
thank you, appreciate it. And one more, there was 4 locations through town that a constituent asked if he could mark them, see if we could do something about them. He just wanted to mark them so you guys could take a look at them, the streets or whomever, see if they could repair them because they're buckled and he doesn't want anyone falling. And he said if he'd go mark them if he'd like. I haven't seen him. I didn't get the address or locations yet, but he was gonna give me the locations. So when he does, he'll mark them up and stuff. We'll take a look at them.
All righty, thank you. Counselor Manny Martinez.
Thank you, sir. First off, thank you guys for all that you guys are doing. I know there's a lot to do in this city and you guys have been shorthanded, so thank you guys first of all for all of that. On the lights, I know that it's been brought up the lights as far as the Bond House, but how about the plaza itself? I know they've been having some events there and it seems to be pretty dark, and I know the lights are pretty much on the bottom. I think, Jeff, we had spoken about possibly putting lights there at some point, but I don't know if we're able to do that. And also as far as the irrigation issue, as far as the watering of the grass there at the plaza, I think you had mentioned that the watering was not up to par for that plaza, and it had to be redone. Is that correct?
And
the sprinkler system, I think.
Sprinkler systems is functional right now. There's no timer system, there's no rain awareness system, there's nothing like that on it. So they do manually go over there and turn it on. They have been watering that. I know we had gotten a quote on replacing the whole system there because they still got to turn on a valve on the street in order to operate it. So that needs to be addressed in the long term, from what I understand, from what I've seen. And what I've been, kind of told as to, those that were there before. So it is functional as of this point right now, so they have been watering. So they're watering what is there. I know this, it's not necessarily a lost cause, but it needs to be replaced and revamped on there. Also because the system has to be, like I said, has to be turned on from a street valve in order to get it to operate. Otherwise, that stays live and all the other faucets and everything out there stay live and just, they're completely going there. So we're aware that right there, just the cost was prohibitive from what we had in the budget this year to address that.
To address that issue.
It is, the estimation, I think, was upwards of 40 to 50,000
Okay.
just for that square.
Just-
Mhm. And the lighting, Mr. Sergeant has.
Good evening, everybody.
Good enough.
Counselor Martinez, regarding the lighting around the plaza. The lighting we had put up a few years ago was, we just did an LED retrofit on the existing fixtures on that site. So if we have been having any issues, they have not been brought to my attention until now. I had not heard anything when we had fiestas. I know we did have some issues with lighting around the Mission structure, and we addressed those for mayor when we did a walkthrough prior to fiestas, but did not know about the ones directly in front and around the perimeter of the plaza.
I'm not gonna, they're not working, I shouldn't say. It just feels like we need more lighting in that area. Especially when there is events that are going into the evening. Because once the evening comes up, the only lights are actually on the street
Street side.
itself. That you can really, that brighten up the whole area. So I think if we were to be able to put some of those, I don't want to say poles, but more of the
Probably some solar pedestal type lighting.
over like that, a more decorative type lighting, just to create at least a little bit more light in these areas. Only because of like I said, during the day, no problem, but once the events start to roll into the evening, it does get pretty dark there if they don't have any other.
So you'd want those directly on the inside perimeter of surrounding the gazebo area specifically?
I would say, or like even along the walkways maybe, or something like that, just to create some more lighting. I mean, if you can just look into it and see what something like that.
Understood.
Ambiance, is that-
Well, like
Near the pergolas and all that?
older fashioned type of poles that go up with the lights that come over or something like that.
I can check and see if they have anything in a solar type fixture for that. To try and eliminate some cost and get some cost savings. And so we don't have any copper theft.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll look into that for you, sir.
Thank you.
Before you
I-
leave
Yes,
the
ma'am.
hot seat, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. So in talking with you, I'm thoroughly disappointed that you hadn't heard about the lighting situation because I've been asking about this for months. I'm concerned, you said that the lights were retrofitted with LEDs, the older fixtures that have they sort of have the glass fixture on the top.
Yeah, it looked like a lantern type.
Yeah.
fixture.
So none of the top got retrofitted then?
No, ma'am. no,
Only the
ma'am.
bottom?
It was done from the post office down towards Paseo and Los Alamos Highway. So it's kind of
So-
like a U shape.
So
But it did
everything
not
on the top
continue
right
up the
now
hill.
Is completely dark. There's not a light fixture up there that is operable. They had talked about putting a street light at the corner of Hill and Don Diego.
Okay.
And one of the reasons that that street corner wasn't lit up originally was for the ambiance that the chairman is speaking of, that they wanted that whole area to sort of look old fashioned and to be like that. But at this point, the way that that area is so dark at night, it's
It's being utilized for
unacceptable.
bad.
Really bad. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Counselor Manny Martinez, go ahead and continue.
Thank you.
sir.
I did have a question on weeds as well. When it comes to the roadway, you have the road, then you have that little shoulders, and then you have most people that have a wall, a fence, whatever it may be. Who's responsible for cleaning that portion between the road itself and the fence line? Is that the property owner or is that the city, the state, the county, depending on the road?
And if we may, just for the sake of time and so forth, if directors can save these questions in your mind, and that way when you do your reports and you present, is that okay with you committee
That's-
members, that
that's
they,
fine with me.
that they go and answer during this? That way, you know, we're not going back and forth and having y'all come up and down, up and down.
That's fine.
Okay, is that okay?
That's perfectly fine. And on Mrs. Lopez's and Ms. Brown's questions, what is the speed limit for North McCurdy? I know the same thing happens on South McCurdy, what you guys are speaking of as far as the way a lot of people drive passing. 25? Is there that, can we put more signage? I know this is something for you, Mayor Pro Tem, but maybe we can request more of a police presence just to help slow down traffic. I know that
We have a public safety meeting tomorrow. I'm going to request that they take the radar machine out to that area to sort of monitor. That machine doesn't ticket anybody, but it'll give information because it reads license plate numbers, and it'll give information to the department as to how much speeding is going on in that area. And it's very relevant for us to collect that so that we know which areas need to be patrolled at a higher level. So I'll definitely mention this tomorrow in our public safety meeting, okay? And you're welcome to come and address that committee too. I'm not sure, did Chief have surgery today or tomorrow, or? So he will be at the meeting. So the chief will be at the meeting he'll be here at 6 o'clock. It's a public safety meeting. And it probably would be good if you could come back and address that committee also. If not, if you can't, I understand. I will communicate your concerns to the chief and to the rest of the public safety group. Yes, ma'am, once a month. It's the first Wednesday of the month. Public Works is the first Tuesday of the month. So that we're back to back.
All right. I'm gonna recognize the mayor.
Thank you. Want to thank all you guys from Public Works for coming tonight. I really am grateful that the committee was able to meet this month. It's really important that we get that information dialogue flowing. We get issues handled and discussed here at the committee level, and then the council's aware of what's going on in each of the departments. So thank you to the departments that work so hard throughout the city. We're really grateful for you. Mrs. Lopez, thank you for coming this evening. We're really grateful for you coming out this evening to discuss your issue and concern. Not to beat the dead horse, but I'll probably talk about it tomorrow. The chief and I had been talking since earlier this year about possibly getting an opportunity. The council would have to approve it. We're looking for a grant actually to have one of those mobile speed radar things, but it actually gives tickets. They do it in the city of Las Vegas. And the council of Las Vegas has been very successful with it. They put it in their high traffic corridors. I've talked to the chief about identifying a grant opportunity to pay for this vehicle. It's a mobile unit. The council obviously has to agree and support this initiative that essentially would be giving tickets that digitally, but it helps with speed control. And I really am going to be working on that. The chief, I pushed him about it. And so I think he's going to be bringing a proposal by the end of the year. Hopefully identifying the line item for the grant to pay for it, but I think that'd be helpful there on the North McCurdy corridor for all the individuals there. I know there's constant speeding on Railroad Avenue. There's constant speeding on Fairview Lane and Coronado, of course, yes. But we obviously are strapped for manpower. So if we have these mobile units and we're able to put these mobile units out there and get some sort of situation where people are starting to generate some citations, people start seeing they may not see us out there, but we do have units and we are patrolling the area. So I wanted to thank everyone here for being with us tonight. I'm really excited that there's a full quorum of the Public Works Committee and you guys are meeting. And thank you, BJ, for coordinating this meeting, getting it together.
All righty. Where were we? Committee member comments, committee members, any other comments, questions, concerns, anything you'd like to address? All righty, looks like we've got none. Next up on the agenda is matters from the chair. Just a few bullet points. Of course, you guys know that you all are appreciated. And I've spoken to each and every one of you individually over the phone or whatever it may be, and know that you guys know you're appreciated, and we're blessed to have you because we're nothing without you guys. So know that. I already spoke to Elijah, but I know some of y'all have been getting comments and calls regarding the Eliana Road and Riverside intersection. Right there, there's some potholes that are probably as tall as me. and it's very dangerous, cars pulling out, but we've already spoken about that. The other thing is Council Martinez touched on this is on South McCurdy, but if we can get a hold of DOT to see if they can stripe that side too. Granted, people still cross over double, lines and whatnot, but if we can get them to at least polish that side of the road up a little bit, that'd be great. Also, shout out and kudos to Mr. Elijah and his staff for re-enhancing and revamping the Desert Storm sign. I don't know if y'all had a chance to drive by there, but it's popping and it looks really nice. The other thing you can address, and this would be for Mr. Abeta, is the concerns. I've had numerous concerns from constituents up in the El Llano Fairview area regarding water pressure. I know they've reached out to you already as well, but just so we can get a committee update regarding what's going on up there. And then for Mr. Francisco, just wondering where the trash bins are for D4, for District 4. We still got our old trash bins. I got folks wondering what's going on that side of town. And then regarding the whole Valley Estates issue, with them wanting one more speed bump, the speed bumps on North Railroad Avenue are my favorite. I know a lot of folks have complained about them and, but they're up to par and where they're at. However, they're my favorite because they do deter a lot of speeding in that area. So if maybe we can do a little bit of adjustment to the ones in Valley Estates, and whatnot, whatever we can do. Because I tell you, they make folks slow down. And let me see. And then the only other thing that I'll ask this committee and bring it up on the 8th for our full council meeting is just keep the Sena family from Valley Estates in your prayers. They're going through a little rough patch, so just keep them in your prayers.
The corner?
Yeah.
Ernesto and Phoebe.
Yeah, just keep them in your prayers. That's all I'll say about that. And then thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I was going to ask for that speed trailer to be moved to that side of town. Maybe we can even put it there, see if there's enough space right in front of Camino Los Arboles. So people don't try and pass when you folks are trying to turn in, et cetera, to maybe deter a little bit. I can't even picture the space we have right now, but maybe some sort of.
So right now, the unit has been used on East Pueblo. We had some concerns from the neighborhood there with the amount of traffic that has been deterred through there because of the construction that is happening in town. A lot more people are utilizing the shortcut and McCurdy Road. The traffic has increased immensely since the construction in town on both sides. But I will ask the chief if it's feasible to definitely move that to McCurdy Road. It will have to be somewhere where it can be completely off the road and somewhere where it can be secured because we don't want it stolen for sure. So those are things that we'll look at, but we'll try and get it as close to this area as possible. Okay. You're welcome.
And then the only other thing would be is since they've spoken to the county and they're willing to reach out and do something, see what they're willing to give. Speak to, I'm not sure it was County Manager Maestas, but speak to them, see what they're willing to give. They said a flashing sign, et cetera, but we'll take whatever we can get as well from the county. So, and then as well as Mr. Mares, if you'll just address, maybe your ideas, whatnot, since you're in charge of streets, that'd be great for your reports. Other than that, I'm trying just to read my chicken scratch. If y'all just bear with me. I think we're all right here. Okay. Next up on our agenda, committee members, we have the approval of the minutes for the 7th of March Public Works Committee meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. We have a motion from Councilor Manny Martinez, a second from Councilor Aaron Salazar. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Looks like we've got ourselves some minutes. And of course, as always, no recommendation items to full council, so we'll move on to department reports. Up on the hot seat is Mr. Sergeant, General Services. Sir, before you begin, I'd like to ask the committee members, you've all had a chance to review the stats and so forth that he's presented. Do you all have any questions, comments, or concerns for him regarding just stats? I see no hands up, sir. So anything you want to tell us, give it to us.
Good evening, committee chair, counselors. Just in addition to what was on this that has come up and been done is at our last meeting, I believe it was for council, our public safety chief Mizell was saying that there was some issues with the cooling system at the PD. That has been resolved as of today. The contractor came in and they installed a cooling system specific to the server room. And they also added a mini split system for the detectives' offices that were being impacted. And we had also had an issue with one of the existing systems that was not, it was going into a fault. So we had the contractor come in and we troubleshot it and we figured it out and I have not heard any complaints, so all's good that ends good, I guess.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Counselors, any questions, comments, concerns that you'd like to address to general services? Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. Thank you for the work that you do for the community. I know that we have a lot of buildings. People don't realize how much maintenance goes into one, much less 8. Concerning the little building at the Ranchitos Park, it seems like the stucco's coming away from the building. I don't know if you've noticed that it's in dire need of a restore or something. I don't know.
We had a break-in, Mayor Pro Tem, on last Thursday. And we were called out there by the police department and I was noticing that. But what you are seeing is not what you assume it is. It's not stucco, it's layers of paint that have gone onto that building through with all the multiple
Katie?
vandalism, graffiti that has gone on that building and it has just cracked and pulled apart from the building. Elijah and I were actually communicating that day and with our recommendation would be to demolish that building because of there is very little, if any, use in that building. The last time it was used was probably about 2 to 3 years ago, and it was used by the McCurdy School when they were having their baseball practices out there, and they were utilizing it maybe twice. So we're having a lot of break-ins, and we're having a lot of homeless people break in and use it as their storage facility. And the cost of repairs versus just eliminating that would be my recommendation, just eliminate it.
So if possible, Mr. Sergeant, excuse me, Mayor Pro Tem, so if that's your recommendation, et cetera, our next committee meeting next month, if you can bring us forward your ideas, your plans for it, costs, et cetera, you know, whatever, that'd be great. So that way we can discuss it even further. So that way it's not just a thorn in your side.
Understood.
Mayor Pro Tem, sorry about that.
I have an issue with everything that's going on at Ranchitos Park concerning the vandalism, the graffiti, all of these things, and I'm curious why we haven't moved forward with a monitoring system of some kind, cameras of some kind that will help us identify who the perpetrators are.
So if I can answer that a little bit, it was my understanding through public safety that Chief mentioned that we were getting some cameras throughout the city and that he was going to put them in some hot spots and whatnot. I have yet to hear where or if we've done that, because I know they bought the system or you know, I'm not sure exactly where that sits right now. But my understanding is obviously that's a hot spot and they were going to do that through public safety.
I think that when they talked about hotspots and cameras through public safety, they were talking about areas of high crime that were like in the public area, in the public sector. So to me, it seemed like it was parking lots, things like that. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I have some more information on that if you don't mind.
Sure, go ahead.
Sure. It was going to be designated for traffic areas in terms of communities, neighborhoods. It was going to be on roadways. For instance, I know, for instance,
Oh, okay.
one of the areas was Car Lane. Apparently there was a invoice generated. It was never ordered in the finance department. So that's what happened with that. It was supposed to have been ordered since March. That wasn't done. Additionally, Ms. McCure has brought aboard a project manager to utilize our CSBG money. That we have a lot of money from, not CSBG, sorry. Yeah, it is
CDBG?
CDBG money. Yes, they're going to be coming aboard to finally streamline a lot of that money to ensure that we don't lose it. And one of the projects from the CDBG money was the Ranchitos Park. And so I know Sally's going to be meeting with Mr. Apodaca tomorrow regarding that. Well, regarding the entire scope of work of him coming in and working on that.
Councilor Manny Martinez.
On that note, I know that this was when Jeremy Maestas was in community services. He spoke about putting a fence area around the park. I don't know if he ever spoke to you about that, but he did bring it up in our community services meeting.
Counselor Martinez, no, he did not communicate anything to that effect. The only information I had is we do have a current CDBG in place for Ranchitos Park, and it was phase 1. And phase 1 was going to be work that was going to be done on the existing field directly north of the concession stand. And that was going to have a playground structure, an ADA playground structure, of walking paths that were going to be made out of crushed asphalt. And there was going to be a amphitheater that was going to be recessed in on the current asphalt that is east facing the existing swimming pool wall. And that was going to be, that was the dream, that was what was put out as a scope of work. It was bid on, and that project came about $500,000 higher than the amount of money that had been requested through the CDBG. We've gone through the process and lost it, got it back again, because we had our environmental project, or part of it had been completed. So we are at the point now where we could put that out to bid. But the scope of work on that was, like I said, it was going to be a play structure, creating some new walking paths, eliminating some of the existing play structures out there that were actually hand-me-downs from another county that we had gotten. And there was going to be a new irrigation system that was going to be installed on that upper level above the playground, above the baseball field. So that was going to have to be graded. Then Doug put in this irrigation system. We were going to have Bryce and his group put in a water line that would feed directly to where we would have a control type system for that irrigation. And about the only thing that was going to be involved inside the pool was there was going to be a couple shade structures that were going to be placed inside the pool. If once you meet with this project management from CDBG, I'd like to be involved at some point, and I supervisor, I don't know what her exact title is that the systems that were installed are working great. The contractor has not completed the work that they had in their scope. They have not removed the existing hot water heat system that was in there. They had actually started cutting it apart and taking it apart and removed some of the wrought iron against the east wall, the southeast wall. And they have not come by to pick up that debris and dispose of it. But other than that, the system has been up and running and working as designed.
These pieces are still inside the building. Yeah. And another concern I had brought up was the pressure on the showers. I don't know, I guess they're hurting the kids. So they put them in the handicap side because it's not so hard, or they brought that up. I don't know, maybe you could take a. look.
That's news to me, Counselor,
Yeah.
but I can check into it.
Take a look if you can,
Okay,
put the pressure on there. They said
understood.
they were putting them in the handicap one because it's not as hard
Okay.
as, as the other ones. It's something, yeah, just to reduce that pressure.
Got it.
Yeah, take a look. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sergeant.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, senor. Pasen buenas tardes. All righty, next up in the hot seat is Mr. Francisco, Sanitation Department. Counselors, you've had a chance to review your packet. Any questions, comments, concerns regarding stats for the Sanitation Department before we leave the floor to Mr. Francisco?
Good evening, Mr. Chair, and
All yours, sir.
good evening. I stand for any questions. If you have any questions, I do have a new item that I'm sorry, what didn't make it in published time for the agenda. I did give a copy to Chair just a few minutes ago before the meeting started. If I may approach
Absolutely.
with the copies of what I provided. So what you have before you is a quote for some new equipment. There's 3 vehicles that we are in need of. The equipment that we're currently running, we have been very troublesome. And but on the second to the last page, you'll see the final quote. So the final quote is from the finance company to finance this equipment. So it's a little bit more than the budget was. My budget was $1.1 million, but I made a small change to the original quote because of the to get 2 polycart trucks instead of 1. And so I eliminated the rear loader. So that's where the $1,205,000 comes from. So there's 2 quotes on that one. It's a 14-day quote. So I just hated to wait about 14 days. So it's kind of imperative that we try to move on this if we can. So what this quote is it's a 5-year lease, and there's on the quotes, there's one on the left-hand side and one on the right side. The one on the left side has 10 payments in on it. So that'll be bi-yearly payments for 5 years, and the other one would be an annual payment. I would opt to use the biannual because it would save about $4,000 at the end of the term. The only thing is that this equipment is 2 years out, and we would probably be making three payments before the equipment even arrives. So just to kind of give you guys a heads up of what that would be. I don't have any other information, but you have the entire packet in front of you. So I worked on this for about 3 months. So I hopefully get some guidance from you guys on this.
Sure. So I'd like to yield the floor to interim city manager, Ms. Baxter, to give you a little bit of guidance. As mentioned before, being that this is a 14-day quote and, budgeted, et cetera, for, I'd like her to give you some guidance on what to do next. I know we have our agenda. We're posted for a meeting on the 8th, but I don't think the agenda has been posted yet. So if need be, I'm good through this committee to just go ahead and move forward to full council as a recommendation item. But go ahead, Ms. Baxter, and then Mayor Pro Tem after Ms. Baxter.
So Ms. Baxter, I'm sorry that I didn't have an extra copy for you. I was giving the ones to the mayor.
You got
No.
mine.
Oh, did you?
That's
Okay,
okay, I
very good.
have one.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will follow up to see if we might be able to move it to the full council meeting on the 8th. Normally, of course, we would go through the finance committee, but considering that it's a 14-day quote and the lead time, so I believe that will be our next step. I'll follow up with the city clerk in the morning.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. So first of all, thank you for going through searching for this, finding the CES. I'm curious, you have 2 Sidewinder auto cars?
Yes, so the 2
Tell
side,
me that's an automated truck.
yes,
please.
those are, yes, they are 2 automated trucks.
God,
So the automated trucks would be eliminating the rear loaders. We would keep the 2 rear loaders that we currently have if they're still operable. We're Yeah, we're struggling every day, but we're getting the work done. Rest assured that we are tirelessly working on getting this trash picked up on the residential side. With this said, it's actually a bunch of equipment that we need. So with the $1.1 million that I have in store, what I would like to do, this is long-term, and this is really my plan is to do is 1 year after we place an actual order, I would like to place another order for one more front loader, which is the commercial side of it, because that's 2 years out again. So this would be 3 years out for that one. And then the second, or hopefully the second, I'm going to use this lightly, immediately after we receive the first 3 pieces of equipment, I would like to order one more Sidewinder automated truck for a backup. And then we can stop for 3 years, and then we'll look at doing the whole thing over so that they age out a little bit differently. So we can change the aging of these units out. So that's why the staggered purchasing on that. We also need other equipment. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Mayor Pro Tem.
I think you're totally in line, John. I'm curious about the payment rate at 6.29%. Is that that rate is not financed through DFA? This is a private loan, correct?
This is a
That they charge us.
It is a private loan. So I did get with Emma to fill out the credit application, but she can't complete it because they are asking for some other information. And I just got it on my email this morning, so I really haven't had an opportunity to look through it completely.
I think this is something that we should also look at DFA too. Anytime there's a rate like that, 6.29%, that's pretty high dollar rate considering that it's over $1 million.
So I
you
think
look
that's with the current rates now with everything kind of going up after this bust of the insurance rates. So I'm not sure if that's
Maybe we might consider borrowing some of the savings, Mayor. Is that possible?
What I was gonna.
Go ahead, Mayor.
One of the things it's why important for us to reconcile our bank accounts and such for the budget is because the environmental gross receipts tax that we've been receiving now for the last year, we're not sure how much money actually lays in that account. And so it's important for us to get an actual figure of how much we're going to have. Obviously, we don't have 1.1 in a year, Mr. Francisco, but we have the ability to make the down payment. The big thing with this is,
so the down payment is 0 on this.
but to at least put towards a payment, of course, I understand the 0, but we also have to keep an eye out too. We're not allowed as a government entity to do lease to own. We can't incur debt in that way. So we have to ensure that when we're taking out the loan, that we're pretty much putting down a sizable down payment in the aspect, because I understand, John, buying the vehicles for like a private industry, but we have to ensure that we're not walking in a situation like we can't go and lease to own a vehicle.
I believe, Mayor, that we already have 2 units that were done by the same company, and they were Vector trucks for, I want to say it was wastewater that went through this. So the city has already purchased it.
And they bought the Vector truck outright. They took.
Was that
out
what it
a loan
was?
for
I
that,
thought it
yeah.
was a lease.
Yeah, I remember that. No, they bought that outright. No, this city has gotten in trouble back in 2005. They went into lease to own to replace a lot of the fleet that I think you're using right now for streets. Back in 2005, those trucks are really old. We got in trouble. That came up in an audit finding.
Oh, okay.
And the city had gone and they took out a huge loan from Valley National Bank. It was a lease to own vehicles from Hunter Ford or Rio Valley Ford, and then we got in trouble for that. And so we have to be very careful we don't walk into that situation again.
But you're on the right track, sir.
Yeah.
So I'm asking Ms. Baxter to go ahead and guide you, make sure we get everything in order. And being that, there is some sort of time constraint on this, let's see what we can do to get you taken care of, sir.
This can go on the agenda. I think you guys just need to take that vote. I mean, it should have been put on the agenda, but I think you guys, if you're all okay with
I
it.
couldn't get it on the agenda because it just came in Friday, so I didn't have to get it put
I
on.
think you guys should just go and make a recommendation formally. And send it to full council.
I don't have an issue with this going to full council. I feel that it's time sensitive and important to the community. We all know what happens when we don't have our trash picked up. We experience that through North Central. I don't want that to ever happen to this community ever again. I feel this is important. I hope everybody else concurs with that that's on this committee.
I'd recommend to as well.
Committee members, so like I said, just go ahead, get it to full council. So I don't think we need to take a vote on it or anything. I
No,
mean,
but just a
we all concur.
consensus, yeah.
So, I mean, we're good to go.
Thank you.
Um,
And Mr. Chair, you did have one question when I was out in the seat, and it was about the polycart, and not just in your district, it's been kind of citywide. So it's been a thorn in my side as well, sir. But I'm really dependent on utilities, on distribution of these polycarts. So what we're doing, what the plan was, and it was working very well when we started, is we have a serial number to each polycart, and we were marrying every polycart to the house. But it was a dual kind of purpose, because I think it's been kind of a thorn in the city's side about the water meters and getting the water meters done too. So that was a dual purpose kind of thing. So we kind of got put on pause. It's been a long pause, and it's really, I would really love to get this thing started back up. So my last discussion with utilities is that we would be starting back up on the 7th. I'm going to be very hopeful that we can start back up on the 7th. So.
and that'd be great. I was just thinking because the winter months are coming and
Right. Yeah, no, I know. It's, we have the polycarts, they're here, and it'd behoove us not to get them out.
appreciate you, senor. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
All righty. Next up in the hot seat is Mr. Mares with streets. Committee members, before we let Mr. Mares present, you obviously have his stats and so forth. You've all had the chance to review them. Do you have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the stats that were emailed to you? Looks like there's none. So, Senor, I'll go ahead and let you begin, and then we'll yield.
All right, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Of course, you have the stats you have with there, which you don't have in front of you because it's still brand new to me. This is the first time having it here. Fleet is usually presented by Jeff Sargent, but now that that's part of field operations, next meeting we'll have that. And then I'm gonna have to clarify if we're gonna still continue to keep parks in community services, or if we're gonna move it here to public works, since I already have the other two departments. I'm not sure how we want to handle that. That's a later discussion, but just to bring it up and kind of get that idea out there. As far as I know we had the questions of North McCurdy. We can add more signs. I know there are signs up there right now. The Los Alvarez subdivision that is there. I understand when they pull into there, because it is a gated community, they are pulling in, and sometimes they're waiting on that gate to open, so they may stick out a little bit like that. But that's something I really don't have much control over. Lowering the speed limit or doing like that right there, I don't know if we can do that at that point there. But I do know because of the gates though, that does put a hindrance on that area there. I know that was there. I will contact the county though too, and then see if there's anything that they were willing to put on that road. I'm not sure if they would. I mean, we'd have to maintain it, of course, at that point afterwards, but I'm not sure what kind of assistance we can get on that. Let's see here. We have been going around town right now. We're cleaning up the medians, getting a lot of the stuff cleaned up, and just kind of catching up on all that stuff there. So there's a lot of that going on. I know this is pretty basic on here, but we do end up helping with a lot of stuff that we kind of just forget to put on there. I mean, we'll go help the PD clean around, their lot there, and just kind of help mitigate with their stuff, and just help fire department with demolition and stuff like that. So there's different things that we do help within those departments there. As far as parks are concerned, I know you were concerned about a playground possibly for veterans. It would be in the realm of $250,000 for something like that to be put in and installed properly. As far as the ones that I've looked into, anything of that size. So we're looking about $250,000 that would be needed for that. And I know there's some monies right now appropriated for Valdez Park to replace the ones that are there, and including the plans that I have there with Mr. Sargent had given me for the extension of the skate park, and turning into part of it as a basketball court, and moving over some of the skate park stuff and kind of revamping some of that there. So I know there's $100,000 for that, and I'm pretty sure it's not gonna go too far, but that's part of what we're looking at to be able to move forward with these and even phase some of it out. So there's going to be a lot of that going on that we're just kind of getting right back into moving forward with a lot of that.
Thank you. So, first of all, let me just say that the work that you guys have done on the streets and the medians throughout town is very evident. and looks a lot better, and the improvement is ridiculous over the last 3 weeks. And thank you and your staff for everything you guys are doing there. I do have some concerns for the planters that are on Paseo de Oñate. It seems like the trees have, some of them have dried out for a lack of water. I don't know if you know which ones I'm talking about.
Yeah, those, all those have been watered the same. So you have some that are staying green, some that are not.
Wow.
I understand what you're saying there on that. Be honest, those trees like that, even speaking with a fellow coworker that they kind of did that kind of stuff before, and not having anywhere to really establish a good root
Yeah.
system, anywhere to go.
Yeah.
It's a really shallow thing there, and they're really difficult to take care of in that sense. I know they're drought tolerant. You know, I spoke with one of the constituents that calls me on the regular to remind me that we have those there.
Mm.
They have been watered.
Mm.
They are part of our normal thing there.
Mhm.
The way they died, I have no idea about
It
that.
could be that beetle that everybody is dealing with throughout our community. A lot of trees have,
Because it makes no sense, because you got some that are completely green,
Yeah.
you water them all the same,
I agree,
and some that are just,
dry as can
they
be.
gave up.
Yeah, bone dry.
So I could put it, I mean, extreme heat, we've had a pretty good heat wave lately, so. Yeah, that's had a lot to do with it.
Also, just thank you for the remake of the fencing up here by Espinal Elementary. There's a section of piping still left that's like maybe 14 inches off the top. I'm wondering if we can go ahead and go all the way to the top on that by cutting a piece of fencing and tying it into that. So right now the fencing is about at, I'm gonna say 5 feet, but there's still another foot of pipe above it. So I wonder if we could go up higher on that just to make sure that nobody's getting in there.
Okay, I'll take a look at it and we'll
Okay.
see what's.
Right. Thank you again, Elijah, for everything you're doing.
Thank you, Mr. Mares. Appreciate you. Councilor Manny Martinez, anything for Mr. Mares?
I know you're limited on time for hot mix for some road repairs. Do we still have time to do some more of that, or are you working on any of the?
We have a new vendor now that helps with the gas company. We have contact with them, so we're gonna have them that are gonna be helping with some of the water projects that have happened. Some of the repairs and stuff that are going on. So we are working with them, working with Mr. Beta on getting those started there. So they're gonna help to bring those up to par on that one. As far as any major projects, we don't have anything going as of right now. We're gonna still try to, once we know those are done and those are caught up on there, then we're gonna try to get the ones that we can, that just need to be improvements that have nothing to do with any of the water, and like that on our own end. So I know La Jolla is one. And see what we can do with the entrance to East Pueblo, because I know that was a, bit of a contention there. So we'll see what we can do. We've done a few other areas like that before. We've been able to kind of patch over them temporarily, because I know that we're in the works of actually repairing that whole road. But until we actually get that, we want to do something to be able to kind of stabilize that entrance.
Yeah. Thank you. On Fairview Lane, would that be an NMDOT, that if there's any road repair on that, or would that?
Fairview is NMDOT all the way up to the North McCurdy intersection and South McCurdy intersection, and then from there to the high school is ours. That was part of what I had. I had gotten funding for that to actually redo that portion of the road there and add a sidewalk, but the money was reallocated to engineering of that from the high school all the way to Industrial Park Road to revamp that whole thing though. So I'll see if I can work with Ms. Baxter there to be able to get information from I think it's Sauter Miller as how far we are in those plans there, because I know it was not a complete redo of the road, but updating lighting, sidewalk, and just any other type of pedestrian type of upgrades on that entire road there, and then seek funding for that afterwards.
There's a lot more foot traffic now in that whole area.
Yeah, and that's always been a big concern of mine now for the last, even before I was in charge or anything like that. Something always brought up is there's always been a need from railroad to the town. There's no connecting road there on the highway, so it's all side road. It's all median, or not even median. It's just right of ways that are just there. So there's no lighting. There's nothing there for pedestrians. So that's one thing we've been working with NMDOT, and I think that's part of why we reallocated the money from fixing a small portion of the road to actually get into engineering to be able to get the lighting and everything, and a solution for a pathway that's safe for everybody to travel on.
And just to put something on your radar, Elijah, up at the Upper San Pedro, Entrada there by the light, you know, right across Sonic. I guess there's some patchwork that may be needed there. After they redid all that, I guess there's some stuff that's coming up and may need some,
On Upper San Pedro?
the upper San Pedro Road, you know, at the light right there. I guess there may be something that needs some attention.
Situation where Marcos came and told us.
So when you turn in there, the where we put in the water line, we did patch up some of that there.
Okay.
So I will double check on it to make sure and see what
Sure,
it looks
just
like.
put
But
on your
it's-
radar.
That has been addressed on that one. So it was
Okay.
not- I know it's not listed on here. Like I said, we have between 3 departments, sometimes it kind of little, sometimes, I won't say the little things, but some things do slip through on being able to go on here. Also with that being said too, with Fleet, we do have a new mechanic that's been working with us now and it's working out right now. So we're starting to be able to catch up on some of the stuff there and things are starting to move along in that department too.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mares. Anything, Counselor Salazar?
Just a quick comment. I know if it ain't the Beatles, it's a vehicle to take them trees out over here in Paseo Oñate. It's the last one. It's taking out Mr. Valdez, or they were planting away. Lasted a week and a vehicle took it out, but I think he pulled everything out the root now and took out a light pole as well. So, yeah, but I just want.
Yeah, anything on the side of the road becomes a target. The pots I know were replaced several times too, and those also were taken out several times, so. Anything and everything that can be shiny and stick out somehow becomes a target.
Sorry, guys. My wife just texted me and says she made green chili Frito pies. So I got a little distracted there. Sure, vamos todos a comer. All righty. Anything? Now my stomach, I just got hungry. Anything else, anybody? For streets? Mr. Mares, appreciate you. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
All righty. Next up in the hot seat is Mr. Talcott. Committee members, again, y'all have had the chance to review the stats for wastewater. Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding wastewater stats?
Not really stats. I have a question for.
Okay. I'll let Mr. Talcott go ahead and present, and then we'll go ahead and exchange some questioning. So, Mr. Talcott, floor is all yours, sir.
Okay, good evening. Most of my report will be on daily routine, or is, PMs, maintenance and that cleaning sewer lines, running lines, and assisting water department as they are needed. A couple items of major concern that should be looked into is on Brown Street. I have a report added to that. That is a lot of roots and damage to that line has been discovered, and I'm going to would like to move forward to replacing that line. We cannot route it with a root cutter because the line is too brittle and it could damage it further. So I will contact an engineering or firm such as RCMI to investigate this line to see if we can retrofit, replace the needs of this sewer line. Pictures and maps, and that is also into it, and also a brief description of I&I, which is a problem in lines like this that allows water to either leak in or sewage to leach out, which can be a problem in our aquifers. The next item I would like to point out is Orangeburg pipe. Just a brief report on that. In the older sections of town, we have a type of sewer line in a lot of residential areas that is called Orangeburg. Pictures you can see is also in that description as well, showing the condition of that. This pipe was discontinued in 1972, and the shelf life of this, or ground life of this, is about 30 years. And a lot of this throughout town is over 100 years old, 60 to 100 years old. So this is the condition, and that's the condition of these pipes in ground. As we discovered, we're recommending that homeowners replace the entire line instead of replacing the section that is broken. Because at this point, this is made out of tar tar and wood pulp. So it's after its lifespan, it becomes, it starts disintegrating and it becomes worthless. So I just want to make the council aware that this is an issue throughout that, and I'm investigating potentially sources that could help alleviate the citizens of Espanola to fix this, maybe through some grant program that some are available that we can, the citizens can apply and pay up to 50% of the replacement, because the cost of one of these lines is very expensive.
That'd be great. And, for the mayor, our new project manager, whomever's coming aboard that can make these committee meetings, because then, we've got all kinds of projects that are coming up in committees, I'm sure. So that way they can get this on the radar. And
The project manager is not going to do that. The project manager is going to fulfill the grant agreements that we've agreed to do and such that wasn't being done, Mr. Counselor. So
Yeah, there are certain areas that it's just pretty thick, it was,
right.
It was easy, cost effective.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I had some of that pipe in my house when I purchased the house, and that was one of the first things to get taken out for sure. And it was in pretty bad shape at that time, and that was 30 years ago or more.
Are you still
So,
having issues with?
Yeah, no, since I replaced everything runs very well, thanks to God. I do have a concern though. I got a text from Frank Naranjo, who used to run the plant for the city of Espanola for many years. He told me that every year around this time, the city of Espanola would go out to Espanola Elementary area and they would vector all the sewer away from the elementary school, because they're going to be inundated with a lot of kids utilizing those bathrooms on a daily basis. So I wondered if that's something that we still do. Do we still?
Yes, it is we still do that.
Uh-huh.
The issue that we're facing at this point is lack of manpower.
Uh-huh.
And we are constantly dealing with other issues, which I was going to address in this report as well. We are developing a preventive maintenance program where we will circle the outside of the city and work inward towards the plant. That way, everything is flushed towards the
Pushing
plant.
inwards, yeah.
Yes, but at this point, we are pretty much busy getting call outs for, backups, collapse lines. And that takes time and does away with my 2-man crew that I have. We are trying to recruit more so we can be more into preventive maintenance throughout the city and collection lines. That way everything gets flushed on a regular basis, but it's slowed us down quite a bit.
Thank you, Mr. Talcott. I appreciate your attention to that line on the west side for the elementary school. Okay.
Okay. I'll make a point that we get to it soon.
Is there anything else you got, Mr. Talcott?
A couple other items I wanted to mention was upcoming servicing of the centrifuges. We'd have do that on a monthly basis. A quick other note: we experienced a flood a while back, and that caused considerable amount of damage, and most of that has been repaired. We have 2 items that need to be replaced, and that should be completed by in the next week. Okay, those notes are on that as well. Also, I wanted to make a note that we had a collapsed line. We replaced 50 feet of it on Cali
Redondo.
how do you pronounce that?
Redondo.
Redondo.
Sorry, my Spanish is
Okay.
bad. Let's see here. 618 Riverside, there is also a report on, we inspected the line. This is the line directly in front of the Santa Clara Hotel. And it was a collapsed line, and we abandoned this line. And also you'll see included in a report is samples tested from the ground, and it did test positive to a potential diesel and gas contamination in the ground. These reports have been forwarded to both Santa Clara, the state, and the EPA, and those are pending their findings and results on the extent of the contamination. And the last thing on that I want to make sure that's pointed out is we had an inspection by the EPA And preliminary was just minor things, but they also want a complete rundown of our records for the last 1.5 years, which we are providing. And the other thing is that they mentioned a couple items that was on the previous inspection, like the outfall of the plant and the grit system as well. And these things we are working to get to them, but they also noted that it's been a while since the previous inspection, and that we haven't addressed it yet. So that report is pending, and as soon as I have that report, I will forward that to you as well.
Thank you, Mr. Talcott. Counselor Manny Martinez, anything? Counselor Salazar?
A quick question on that Orangeburg pipe. If a customer runs their pipe, do they pay for the new tap, or does the
If
city?
it's a new tap, we will redo a tap. I'm pretty sure that since it's a retap, they'll have to pay for the retap because it'll be a different type of pipe and we have to retap it.
So they're responsible for the fee for the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, there's things that we can work around. There's, I believe planning and zoning has ways to help people that, have hard time financially to help take care of that.
Mayor Pro Tem, anything else?
No, sir. Thank you, Mr. Talcott.
All righty. Thank you, Mr. Talcott. We appreciate you. Have a good evening.
Good evening.
Righty. Next up is Water Department, Mr. Aveta. Committee members, once again, y'all have had the chance to review the stats for the Water Department. Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding stats in the Water Department? Looks like there's none. So, Mr. Aveta, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I just want to let you guys know that we are really stretched thin in the water department. There's a total of 6 employees. We have 8 openings. So we are doing everything we can to keep up with all the maintenance, wells, all the water leaks, everything like that. But just to let you guys know, we're really stretched real thin. Just an update on our well 2 booster station. We actually have the booster station in our shop. We are waiting parts from Baker Utility to arrive. They've been on order. We're just waiting for it to get here. We've already been in contact with the health comments. They're ready for a shutdown when we have to. I was pushing hard before school started, but just a heads up, we are probably gonna have to do it a Friday, Saturday type thing. So the school may have to close down on a Friday. But I'm trying to push it before school starts, but just the parts coming in is what's taking the longest.
And those schools hate that.
Oh, yeah. Also, we replaced some fittings on our fire pump in the same well house, and that thing is working now. It's 100% ready to go. So if something ever happens, water pressure goes down, that thing will kick on and provide a lot of pressure in the meantime for now. It's not supposed to run like it's going to, but we're so close because we're on thin ice with the booster station we have in there right now. So now we have some more support. Other than that, I stand by. Any questions?
The only thing was, did I?
Oh, yeah.
Question for you? I think I did.
I do, Mr. Chair. So you said pressure in the Iliano area. Was it too much pressure or not enough pressure?
Not enough pressure, low pressure.
And when was the last time you received that?
He told us, I want to say maybe about a month ago or so.
Okay.
He just says it happens frequently, sometimes I'll have good pressure and then sometimes it just drops. It's back and forth, so.
So what I did find out with what's going on with the pressure, so I have to open a valve to help feed the high school to the west side when things get low. Because the demand has been so high right now with the summer months. I know if a well faults, say in the middle of the night and we don't catch it right away, it does take a big hit on the tanks. So for us to catch up, I have to open a valve and I release it back to the west side. So it helps fill up the tanks. And then also I have another valve on industrial that can do the same thing to help the east side as well. So when I open that one up too much, the people in Iliano area, they see our tank is full, but they see low water pressure. But as soon as I close that valve, that pressure goes back up. So I did talk to a couple people over there and I let them know that they should be getting, well, they have, it's good now, but at that time I said, give me another day or whatever, and you should have your pressure back.
And as long as we're aware to let them know what's going on. you
Yeah,
know,
I let
Give
everybody
them,
know.
give them the whole equation, right?
Mm.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. Bryce, it's been a while since we discussed the water loss that we had last time up on the hill and millions of gallons were lost.
Mm.
And I'm curious, I know that you were working on identifying ways to shut that down if that ever happens again. Were you guys finally able to install a shut off? What finally landed up happening with that?
So we spent days, we spent weeks actually out there. We found a lot of lines that the maps were wrong, so we have a good understanding of where the lines run. But also, there's still lines that I have no idea why valves are closed, how it's running. And I know the valve that we need to replace is one that we need to fix that's gonna hold it. And that one is our one that's been seized up. Because we actually opened it up and we've seen that one. So in order for that, we have to drain the tank completely to do it. But I am also gonna be bringing a live tapping machine before you guys. I'm getting updated quotes on it as we speak. That is very expensive, but we can do live actually taps and install valves without having to shut the water down. That's gonna be good for 4-inch up to 16-inch, which is our biggest is 14-inch. So it's gonna be good enough to handle that. And also it does lateral taps. So we have,
Ballpark amount for that?
last time I checked, it was around 85,000. So it's gonna be pretty close to 100,000 in that. Well, actually, I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem, it's actually about 112,000 is the last time I got it, but
Doable.
yeah, I will bring in that to you
Exciting, guys,
guys.
some recommendation items.
Yep.
The
sure.
other thing I had a question about was, I know there was a water leak at the college. And I'm curious as to if that has been rectified, because the west side has also had pressure issue, and I wondered, what's causing that?
So we had actually, we spoke to them. They decided to say that the water line is ours. I told them it's not ours. They said that their attorneys were gonna look into it. I never heard anything back. We went back a couple months later because I thought they took care of the problem. The water was still leaking. We went in and talked to, I don't remember her name, but someone in the main office, one of the higher ups, and I brought this to her, I sent the emails. They're gonna take care of it. They're working with TLC. Right now, it's still going because there's a valve that's broken. So there's gonna be a water shut off that they're gonna be fixing as well. Because I told them if we went to fix that valve, once it's fixed, I'm shutting the water down and they're not gonna have any water in the campus. So they are working on it as we speak.
So it hasn't been rectified yet.
Not yet. We did give them 15 days to get it completed and we are pushing the last week, so.
I think following through with higher level people and not arguing about whether or not it's our line. You guys know what's our lines. You guys know what's not our lines. And the college needs to understand that water is a very precious resource. If they're losing water like that on a line that has been broken for more than a month, that's just ridiculous. It's not right. It's not fair to the community. It's not fair to the city. It's not fair to any constituent here in the city that you're just going to waste the water like that.
Yep.
So that's something that has me very concerned. Again, thank you and your staff for everything that you guys are doing. I really feel like things have sort of mellowed out and the wells are all operable and working. And I just want to make sure that we're taking care of all the testing that we need to do and making sure that our water is always safe to consume, making double extra sure that that's happening. I just want to make sure that that happens.
And our back T samples have been pretty steady
Okay.
for a good while. They're steady. They don't fluctuate all crazy. If we do catch it, we make adjustments because we still have trouble with our chlorine at our south well, but
Right.
we know now, so it's a lot easier.
Well, I'm very happy that we have that under control. The last thing we need is to have bacteria in our water. That would be horrific. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Avita. Councilor Salazar, anything for Mr. Avita?
You spoke about well number 2 in the boost. Which one is well number 2? Sorry.
The one on top of industrial, the one with the big booster station.
1 week.
Yes, the one I took you guys to. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And you spoke about your tapping machines. Are you going to continue using the Mueller brand or what is?
Yeah, Mueller's the one that is provided. And we have an old tapping machine that they've had probably since I'm gonna say either early 2000s or the 90s that we still use. The parts, there's some parts that I can still use that we have with the new one as well. Because when the guy came in at one time, he was like, "You have one of these?" So, because I haven't seen this in years.
Mayor Vigil.
I just want to commend Sally and Bryce. We're going to be submitting for the first time in 17 years, an application to the Water Trust Board for funds to get you some support for the wells, for construction of the wells and the materials and the piping. And so we're really excited about that. We got that notice of intent in yesterday to apply, and you've already been working with the Economic Development District to write those grants. So I really want to commend Sally and Bryce for going and doing that. It's the first time in 17 years that we've applied, and we're really excited about that.
Good job.
Counselor Martinez. All righty. Mr. Beta, appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are we on Zoom by chance or anything like that? Is Danielle on Zoom? Okay, perfect. So we've got up next, Utilities Department. We have Customer Services Manager Danielle Bustos. Ms. Bustos, the floor is yours. But before I do that, actually, counselors, any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the stats by the Utility Department? Doesn't look like that. So Ms. Bustos, the floor is yours.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Chairman, members of the governing body, we recently just opened up a part-time position for our customer service reps for Miss Jackie, our customer specialist. I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm like choppy on my side, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Okay. Alrighty, so where was I? So we just joined, Miss Chantel Pacheco just recently joined us. She is our part-time customer service rep during the time of Miss Jackie, our collection specialist's absence. She just welcomed a new baby girl to her little family.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm reading off some stuff. Okay, I'm so sorry. So on polycarts, we are to resume next week. I'm hoping to get a lot of it out with the assistance of our other departments, such as police, streets, whoever may want to lend a helping hand so we can distribute these polycarts as soon as possible. We are currently working with performance services with Kyle Leonard. We had a meeting with him, I think around June, regarding our water system failing. It is taking us about a week to conduct our monthly rechecks along with our drive-by system. It is very frustrating. Bryce can agree with me. It shouldn't be taking this long. It usually takes 2 to 3 days. Now it's taking about a week to like about 10 days just to conduct these. And it's something I'm looking forward to getting all this worked out, because it has been since day one a very complicating system to be dealing with, being that we're not at 100%. Trying to think. I did not mention it, but I did send out some delinquency notices this past Friday. We will be doing shut-offs again. We will start shutting off on August 8th. So every payment is due on the 7th. We are open to the public about creating a payment plan or whatever they may need to assist them to keep their water services going. Another thing is we are getting a lot of payments from LIWAP. That's a system that a lot of people are going to for like resources of helping them with their water bill to avoid any disconnects. And that's all I really have.
All righty, Mayor Pro Tem.
Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Danielle. I have a few questions. First of all, the billing stats, we have the amounts, but we don't have the number of residents that we're serving. Could we have that breakdown on the next report, monthly water, sewer, and trash customers, residential and commercial?
I can get that to you. It will be kind of off or not that accurate because people do come in and terminate and start within that same period, but I can get that for you.
All right, thank you. The other thing that I'm reading in your report, and thank you for compiling the report. It's talking about the city of Espanola has executed a memo of agreement with a partner in New Mexico Human Services Department to offer low-income household water assistance program. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? And then I have a question for the mayor when you're done with that.
Okay, so that's the LIWAP. So that's what they're sending ACH payments for each customer individually. And I'm just keeping track of those monthly to the daily basis to make sure that they're getting posted accurately and accordingly.
So this entity is an entity that is sponsored by the New Mexico Government Human Services Department to allow assistance for water billing?
Yes.
Okay.
And this was created a little after COVID because they had assistance for like the electricity with the LIHEAP. So LIWAP was then created.
Do you have a phone number or a web page where somebody can get information on that? Or do you have a way for a customer to connect to this entity?
Yes.
Okay. That's good. I'm happy that 2,700 was paid in delinquent accounts. That's really good. What other issue did I have? Oh, you talked about disconnects on August 8th, and I'm curious if if you and the city manager, the interim city manager, have had an opportunity to sit down and discuss what's in the ordinance concerning the disconnects and how we're currently handling it with policy, and when that policy will come back to this council for approval, so that everybody can be on the same page where the policy works for the department and the community, and also in the best interest of the constituent.
So I actually did speak briefly with Ms. Baxter regarding this issue. We do have an SOP, and it states that a 10-day goes out in the mail, which is a postcard. It's pink. And then after that, the postcard is due, which it would be on the 8th, because that's the only thing that we're issuing out right now. There will be a 10-day to the door, a 3-day to the door, and a 24-hour also to the door. Those have stopped. Again, that's with COVID, short-staffed with the water department. We just don't have that manpower that we could to conduct those. I'm hoping in the near future that we start those once again, or we all get together and not reinvent the wheel, but rewrite the route that we want to go to collect and give the customers that fairness with the delinquencies.
The main thing is that the policies that are currently adopted are either being utilized properly the way they should be, or if the policy does not function for your department, that we have an opportunity to have at that policy and to try and change them up so that they're more efficient for everybody.
And I could very well do it. I have no problem with it. We did it for years. It's just when I came into utilities in 2019, those had kind of already dissolved. Bryce also, he has really he had no say so in those actually being stopped. So it's just a matter of him and I coming together and seeing if we can get those going the way they should be according to the SOPs.
Okay, that's awesome. The billing is currently being done in-house, am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Danielle, for all your hard work. I appreciate you and everybody at your department. I have to tell you that, I do stop in and pay the bill. Me and my husband argue about who should come, but I usually end up being the one that comes. And I have to say that every single time that I've ever been at that window, I've experienced a very positive interaction with the clerks, and also witness them treating other people accordingly. I would like to come to a day when we do have a drive-up payment way, a vacuum system, either in the back of City Hall, where an older person or a handicapped person does not have to get down from their vehicle any longer to pay their bill. They can do it through an automated system that can reach their vehicle. And I'm very interested in forwarding that. That's something that I really want to do this year. But again, thank you for all your hard work, and thank you and your department for everything you guys are doing. And then I had one more thing for the mayor
Okay.
concerning this. It says that they entered into a memorandum of understanding with that entity. It's my understanding that the only ones that can enter into a memorandum of understanding on behalf of the city is the city governing body. So I'm curious about that. Okay, thank you.
All righty. I do have a question, Ms. Bustos. How many folks since have opted for auto pay? I've been pushing that forever, so.
I have not looked at that number on
Oh,
Express Bill Pay.
And have we been pushing that, trying to encourage folk to?
Yes, a lot of people question it. Go ahead. Sorry. I thought you stopped.
No, I did. Yeah, I'm waiting. Go ahead.
Okay, no, a lot of people come in, they do ask if there's a different way of actually getting their bill paid and all that. I do advise them that they can make card payments and checking payments on that system. So a lot of people that I know of since I've been working the window have been signing up for that. So that's something that is getting pushed out there.
Perfect. Thank you. Council Martinez. Council Salazar. All righty. Do you have anything else for us, Ms. Bustos?
Not right now, no.
Okie dokie. Well, we appreciate you. Have yourself a good evening.
You too, thank you.
All righty. Next up on our department reports is we have Acting City Manager Sally Baxter. Ms. Baxter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, councilors. I want to just commend Ms. Bustos in our directors meeting this morning. Our Community Development Director, Jolene Nelson, made note that she had worked with Ms. Bustos to set up an electronic payment option for film industry participants and that they were very pleased to have that service. So thank you, Ms. Bustos. Also, regarding the Water Trust Board, we submitted two notices of intent. The second one was for well rehabilitation. We worked with NMED Clean Water Revolving Fund on an extension to the State Road 76 funding that was approved to give us time to complete additional paperwork required. I was able to meet this morning with our department heads, and I appreciate the help and the information I received. We touched base on several projects. So just a quick update, Silky Way, we're looking at Sauter Miller had requested a purchase order to finalize some engineering on that. That was not completed, so I'll be working on that. State Road 76, Wilson and Company has submitted a request for an additional $63,223.66 to do additional changes to the plan and some design that was requested by the DOT. So I'm going to look into that because it feels a little bit like that's delaying the project, and I know we want to move forward right away, especially since we did complete paperwork to make sure we extended the financing on that. New Mexico 68, that's the Riverside project. We're going to set up a meeting to try to finalize the details on that. Sauter Miller had suggested they would be able to put cameras in the sewer and do a survey on that, but I don't know that that's needed or if we can just proceed. So I'm just trying to get on top of some of these projects that we've had in the works for a while. We just want to see these get moving. But again, my deepest appreciation to staff and their information and helping me get up to speed on some of these projects. Thank you very much. I stand for questions.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I'll make it brief. I know everybody's tired, had a long day, long meeting. Concerning the State Road 76, which is Riverside Drive, the cameras in the pipes to me seems like a excess on the engineer's part because all those lines are going to be replaced anyway. So for me, I don't see a reason to put cameras in any of those pipes at this point. I think what needs to happen is that those pipes need to come out, new pipes need to go down. I did have an opportunity to meet with Senator Joseph, not Senator, Representative Joseph Sanchez called me to have a meeting with the people from the highway department concerning that state road, New Mexico 68 project. They are in tune with repaving it, and they are interested in making sure that the projects coincide each other so that when we're cutting up a pavement, they're fixing what we're cutting as we go, so that traffic control becomes a little more cost productive because we can share it. And they're fixing as we're demolishing and as we're fixing. So that was the main thing that they were interested in. Joseph Sanchez did commit to looking for funding for this project on the city side for the completion of the pavement. The estimate was somewhere near $32 million, I think, is what I understood. There were 4 people from the highway department in the meeting. All 4 of them were very excited about the opportunity to work and coincide with the 2 projects at one time. So I think it's important. I will forward you all of those people's names, numbers, emails, so that you can touch base with them and forward that project and sort of follow on what's going on with that. It'll depend a lot on what happens with the New Mexico State Legislature and the funds that come down on that side. But this is something that I think is probably coming up sooner than we think.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Please do forward that contact information. I'll follow up on it because the estimate we were looking at is that it could be as much as a 2 to 5 year lead time on some of the repaving. So we're also looking at the possibility of we would do a repair ourselves if we could have the fundings, because we just don't want to wait any longer than we have to. I know this is something that's been ongoing for quite some time, and we would like to be able to proceed.
The only other question that I have is following up on Kaya Miramontes. The last time that I spoke to Jordan Yotzi concerning the project for repavement in that neighborhood, he talked about the possibility of the city of Espanola connecting with NMDOT for a drainage line that would be utilized to drain that whole street. I never heard back as to whether or not NMDOT was in agreement with us utilizing that drain line. So I'm curious to know where that's at. I also would like a report as to what the percentage of completion of engineering is at this point. This is a project that has been ongoing and been on the back burner for years and years and years. And it's just come to a point where I feel like we need to really move on it. And then the other thing that I have concern about, of course, and I'll beat this drum until I die, I guess, the Prince Ranch project for sewer. Could we have an update as to what is the percentage of completion at this point from an engineer's perspective? And what does the city need to do to move forward with providing sewer to those people at Prince Ranch?
Mayor Pro Tem, I will follow up on those with you. The last update I had on Camino Miramontes was from a meeting that had been held June the 28th. And it had been noted by Sauter Miller that they were on hold pending direction from the city. So I will follow up with that.
Okay.
Mayor,
And see what happened.
I just wanted to follow up on 68. Sally will be getting soon some information from Representative Melanie Stansbury's office regarding the $22 million federal allocation for that project. We'll be following through and such. It's already been designed, the whole project, but we still have yet to receive that money. So we're going to talk with Scott Forrester about that. The lobbyists have been working to set up that meeting. Sally, Bryce, I know already left, but regarding that, I'm not sure if anyone responded to Jerry Valdez about the diameter for that water line for Riverside Drive.
We did, Mayor. It's a 12-inch C900.
Okay, all right. So as long as we got a hold of him for that.
900 sounds like Harry Potter's broom.
Additionally on that, Mayor Pro Tem, we talked about Prince Drive. The lobbyists are going to be doing a presentation next week for the city council. Representative Edetta is proposing legislation to go before the legislature this upcoming year to create a TID, a tax improvement district. And they're going to be, the lobbyists have been working with her nonstop to be able to designate that corridor there for the wastewater services. And that's probably going to be the fastest way to get service to those individuals, and it's going to take legislative action. So the lobbyists will be bringing that before us next Tuesday.
Sure.
I just have a curiosity. We attended many meetings from NMDOT concerning the Fairview Drive corridor, the revamping of that, the entrance to Railroad Avenue, all that stuff that happened. And then all of a sudden I see that we receive money for that area like it's ours through ICIP. So I'm curious as to what in the hell is going on with that.
I have no idea, Mayor Pro Tem. I'm a little bit confused on that too. We've received in total, I think, close to $1 million.
For a road that
For
doesn't belong. to
yeah,
us.
for Fairview Lane, I don't understand. But it's on our ICIP list. And so I would recommend, and yeah, and the delegation gave us that money. I don't know why. But the lobbyists are also gonna be coming next week, and they're gonna be talking about seeing how we can't do it until January, but about a reauthorization for some of that money, and to see if we can do that. And that would be the best thing for us to do, to utilize that money elsewhere, because that's not our roadway, and any improvements to that road shouldn't impact us. And yeah, long story short, speaking of that, the Mr. Apodaca, who's been referred to us by DFA, he's also going to be working with us. We'll be having a work session about the ICIP. We need to really cut down on a lot of projects that are on that list. There's about 40 or 50 projects on there. I mean, things going back 20 years on that just need to be weeded off, and Fairview Lane specifically needs to get removed from that.
I'll yield to Elijah.
Chair, committee, mayor, just to make sure on that Fairview there, I know some of that money was appropriated at one point for Fairview there for that engineering of that road. I think that's what I had spoken to earlier, that we had gotten some, it was 425,000 we originally got. So some of that money was also for the engineering of that road to improve all the way from the high school to industrial park for pedestrians. So I just want to make sure that we check on that before anything else. I mean, I know there's a lot of projects going on right now, and there's a lot of different things. So I just want to make sure that that wasn't part of that.
So that's one of the things that the Mr. Apodaca is going to go in there and make sure that we've been doing actually the reauthorizations, because some of that money also expired, because we've received that money for the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that that's some of the stuff. I know we had engineering going on in that, so just to bring that up.
Thank you, Mr. Modis.
Additionally, I wanted to real quick on this. I want to piggyback, Counselor. I just want to thank the county is going to be working on, they're going to be working on the improvement of Old Los Alamos Highway, County Road 2. They're going to be doing some improvements there. Thank you, Elijah. We were unable to determine if County Road, Old Los Alamos Highway was a city road, county road, whatever the fact. The county's going to step up and they're going to improve that road and do some improvements there. So thank you to the county for doing that.
Alrighty, Councilor Manny Martinez, anything for Ms. Baxter? Councilor Salazar? Alrighty. Before we adjourn, I do want to let Mrs. Lopez know, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We appreciate your service to education, but please know that your concerns do not fall on deaf ears. We are at your disposal. Committee members, we have our next meeting tentatively scheduled for the 5th. Is that okay with everybody? Okie dokie. Everybody have a good evening. God bless you.